Welcome to Session 3, Part 1 of Interrupting Expulsions. In videos 1 through 4, we discussed implicit bias and family partnerships and how these play a key role in interrupting expulsions. In this video segment, we will explore how challenging our own implicit biases and establishing family partnerships influence behavior guidance practices that promote preschool retention. Classroom management strategies that have relied on more traditional approaches to discipline are found to have disproportionate negative outcomes for children of color. The conceptualization of discipline as punishment has especially harsh consequences for African American boys. More recent approaches to classroom management shifts the thinking from management to guidance. This shift opens the door for strategies that are strength-based, views the child more holistically, and better identifies the teacher's role in supporting children with challenging behaviors. All behavior is a form of communication. The idea of behavior guidance carries with it the understanding of mistaken behavior rather than misbehavior, and how to teach children pro-social skills. When a teacher views a child's challenging behavior as an unmet need and/or social skills yet to be learned, and values the family's perspectives, this sets the stage to support a child's retention rather than expulsion from school. Viewing behavior as misbehavior places judgment on the child, and the judgment carries the thought that the child needs to be disciplined or punished. Dan Gartrell, the author of The Power of Guidance, Teaching Social-Emotional Skills in Early Childhood Classrooms, states the term misbehavior causes many teachers to make a moral judgment about a behavior and then make a moral judgment about the child. Without understanding and reflection, a teacher's response is often based on judgment, which impacts how the teacher views the child. This is particularly concerning when a teacher's own biases influence their perception of behavior, which can negatively impact the child. Framing challenging behavior as mistaken behavior views the child and their behavior with understanding. Framing a child's behavior in this way recognizes that the child's behavior is communicating an unmet need or a social skill yet to be learned. Dan Gartrell states, mistaken behavior reminds us that the child is just at the beginning of a lifelong process, which we are also undertaking, and that in the process of learning, we all make mistakes. Take a couple of minutes to think about a child that you have worked with who has had challenging behavior. And let's shift how we are thinking to a strength-based approach. Think about this child and what are some strengths this child has? What interests, likes does this child have? And what types of play is this child most likely to engage in? Now think about how can we use this information to better understand this child and their behavior? And then what changes can we make on how we're perceiving the child's behavior and how we respond to the child? Adopting a guidance approach gives teachers tools to craft classroom guidelines. And when you're working with older children, often they can help craft these guidelines while also teaching children how to use the guidelines. Behavior guidance looks at external factors that may be contributing to a child's behavior, such as the classroom environment, teaching practices, schedules and routines, teachers' biases, and past trauma the child may have experienced. All of these factors contribute to how a child responds to classroom and social situations. We often give children several soft suspensions prior to expelling a child from an early learning program. Redirection methods that include timeouts, staying in from outdoor play, removal of play materials, or being sent to the director's or principal's office are really soft suspensions. Children who experience this style of behavior management often comply out of fear or blind obedience rather than out of a place of empathy or concern for others. In her TED Talk, School Suspensions Are an Adult Behavior, Rosemarie Allen discusses the importance of shifting our focus from children's behavior to adult practices when examining challenging behavior. She says to do this, we need to be self-aware, know our own hot buttons, which we discussed in video 1, and know our own behavior. She states, behavior is defined by the person most annoyed by it. So as we continue to learn about behavior guidance, this quote is really powerful as we're examining our practices. As we strive to support young children and families from diverse backgrounds, it is essential that we acknowledge that many challenging behaviors are only such in the eyes of the beholder. Up next is Session 3, Part 2, Behavior Guidance Policies.